Hello, everyone. Right, I need to find out where these two come from. I know where that came from. I just found it. No, I lost it again. There it is. And shut up, Belly. I've already been eating something. I'm all thirsty and hungry. astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes control. But listen closely. Not for very much longer. I've got to be controlled. There's a loose one. Where have you been from? There you are. Put your hands up, get them up, put your hands up, play. Oh, do you really read me?
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
Michelle O'Malley says it started with a single vivid dream about her deceased grandfather. Over time, the dreams became more frequent and more real.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
Welcome to the renowned Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Many of America's most famous comedians got their start at this popular club. But some people say that on certain nights, you're likely to catch a very different kind of show. One guaranteed to create a lot more chills than chuckles. Is a Comedy Store truly haunted from the basement to the rafters? Tonight we've come to the legendary night spot to see for ourselves. Join me for this ghostly profile, as well as these intriguing mysteries. Keith Horn was a young man with everything to live for. So when the police announced that his sudden, shocking death was a suicide, Keith's family began their own investigation. Today, eyewitness testimony and questionable evidence has left them more convinced than ever that Keith was murdered. When she was just 16, Wendy Radcliffe found herself all alone in a moment of terrible crisis. But in the midst of Wendy's tragedy, a kindly stranger stepped forward to comfort and console her. Perhaps someone watching tonight knows the identity of Wendy's unknown Good Samaritan. Also, Keely Shea Smith joins us from the phone center with a poignant update. See how your calls reunited Fritz Winkel with a soldier who helped teach him the true meaning of Christmas. Stay with us for another fascinating hour of Unsolved Mysteries. If America's heartland is in the Midwest, its Funny Bone is here in Hollywood at a Sunset Strip nightclub called The Comedy Store. For more than 20 years, the club has played host to legendary comedians like Richard Pryor. Film and television stars Jim Carrey, Roseanne, Jay Leno, and Arsenio Hall each got their big break on delivering knockout punchlines to the club's delighted fans.
This here right here, no, that's Don King. Okay, where's the one I'm at? I'm supposed to fight.
But some say the best show takes center stage when the crowd goes home and there's hardly a living soul around. According to many employees, past and present, the Comedy Store's hallowed halls are haunted. Author Laurie Jacobson, who once worked here as a waitress, collected the stories for a book about ghosts in Hollywood.
This place is haunted from the basement to the rafters. When I was a waitress here, the waitresses would have to set up the showroom by putting tablecloths on the table, and we would put an ashtray on every table. And we would set up an hour before the customers were due to arrive. On occasion, girls would set up the room, leave for a moment, come back, and everything would be put back. The tablecloths would be refolded and stacked. The ashtrays would be stacked. And we all knew exactly what we were dealing with here.
Dave!
That what was happening in those rooms, being set and unset, was being done by ghosts.
It wasn't a figment of my imagination. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't high. I didn't get hit in the head with something, and, you know. It's easy to know once you've seen it, you believe it.
When he was just starting out, Joey Gaynor worked as a doorman at the Comedy Store. Most nights he was the last one out of the building, or so he thought.
It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody's out. I'm locking up, and I go into the original room and get my coat, and there were 2 candles lit on the table. I blew them out. Turned around, they were lit again. Went back over and I said, man, I blew them out again. I said, well, maybe they stayed a little lit when I blew them out. And I started to go down the stairs, and it was freezing all of a sudden in there, and I turned around and candles were lit again. So I said, okay, stay lit, goodbye, and I just split. I didn't want to hang around to find out why.
It seems the Comedy Store spirits just love to play games with Joey Gaynor.
One night, I was going to shut the lights in the building. Takes 4 seconds, 5 seconds tops. Walk back out. Chairs, all these chairs are just piled in the middle of the aisle, piled up. And I never heard anything. Nobody could have come in and done that in 5 seconds. Even if it had been 10 seconds. If you compile 8, 10 chairs in that amount of time, you should be in Vegas, because that's pretty amazing.
Born and raised in Georgia, and I fought in Vietnam. That's like being punished for the same thing twice.
Like Joey Gaynor, comedian Blake Clark served a tour of duty as a Comedy Store doorman. Blake says he too was a target of the club's disembodied pranksters.
I was a person who did not believe in ghosts. Absolutely, unequivocally, undeniably did not believe in any sort of paranormal manifestation. Until I started working here. I was coming in to lock up the van.
Hello.
And heard a noise. It was moving just slow, you know, like somebody was just kind of dragging it across the stage, except there was no one there. I'm not a scientist, but it wasn't an earthquake. It wasn't wind. It wasn't a person. It was some supernatural or as yet unexplained force.
Hi, everything.
Get the chairs up.
Blake claims he also witnessed one of Joey
Excuse
Gaynor's
me.
misadventures with the supernatural.
A lot of strange stuff going on in this place this week.
Just quit antagonizing them, Joe.
What, when I do this? Hey, come on
I'm
out.
sick.
Come on, ghost. Show yourself. Come on, where are you?
So this ashtray just go across the room and burst onto the wall. And so Joey says, "What was that? What was you throw that at me?" And I went, "No, it came from over there."
It was like zoom, you know. To see it come up and take off is what was scary.
How you doing?
I was always skeptical because we're talking about comedians.
I'm alright. You're cleaning. Excuse me. I told you not to overdo it. Didn't I tell you? Mm-hmm. Well, then you have to tell him to slow it down a bit. You're not 14. Even though you probably wish you were. The trainer needs a smacked ass. I know. I bet you wish you could, though. Bet you wish you could. Hmm. I think this morning was the fastest town trip I've ever done. Normally it takes me an hour or two, maybe, depending on the queues. Yeah, I was like in, out, done, home. That's how fast it was. I thought, great. Hiya, Poker. How are you doing? I only needed a few little bits from town anyway, so, you know. But I think it's because I'm used to doing the couple of hour thing. Yeah, we got everything we needed. Or what what Gary wanted as well, so, I had to go to Aldi. I'm okay. Yes, I'm sure. Sure enough. If not, it'll be bloody Thursday. I think the town's my second home. But without the building, without the freaking bed and whatnot. What you been up to, Poker? Good to see ya. Luckily, I didn't have to take the trolley. That's the one good thing. You're not missing much, Poker. You're not missing much. Apart from I've
Hey, Refund. Hey, Poker Rossi.
mm,
You want some din-dins? Come on, then. Let's get you dinner. Yeah, now. Okay. I'm on it, like sour or crab.
I am. I do two now. I do this one for an hour and a little bit, and I do the main live at 10:30 UK time. So
Come on. Yeah, man. Yeah, now. Yeah. Oh, no.
I do an hour to like relax, chillax, as they say. Plus, I'm thinking of doing something else to the lives. Not quite sure yet.
Yeah, all gone. Good girl. Good girl. Mashed potatoes. Squeeze of eggs.
Can I just say one thing? Pissing it down. Persisting it down, that's what I should say. It's been stormy. And we got another storm on the way, apparently.
I'm peeing it down now.
Mm-hmm.
Rainy bar.
So, it's well and truly autumn has started. Have you? Wow. I know in some places had snow or something, from what I've heard. See, we do keep in touch with the weather over there. I reckon we're gonna have a, here in the UK, I reckon that we're gonna have a bad winter.
So what's sorted out? Done. Yeah, no, you want your dinner, don't you? Oh, no. The bowls are sorted out. Come on, chap, don't worry. Fresh milk.
Yeah, it's kind of mild-ish over here, but it's very stormy, wet as well, so it's the winds are picking up. I don't know what it says on my phone. Let me have a look. Rain ending around 8 o'clock. 2 millimeters of rain. grab an umbrella. That's what it actually says. What the hell? Rain possible around 8 o'clock. It said it's going to stop at 8 o'clock. 16-mile-an-hour wind at the moment. There's a light breeze. I love the sense of humour on this thing. Oh no. I never take a brolly out with me if it's windy as well as it's raining. I never do that, never. Because I know it's going to go inside out and be Mary Poppins.
You have your treats, your dinner, and your milk. There you go.
Okay, my dear Ruth Ann, see you later.
Bye, Mum.
Oh my god.
Battery thing, she would.
She probably would, yeah, if she was here.
Come and get your din din.
Yes, he's been talking to the cat, yeah. She understands and all. This is what the cat did to me not yesterday, the day before. She bloody attacked me and bit me. I didn't even do anything.
Huh?
It's healing slowly.
Yeah, I have to talk to the cat. She don't listen to me.
Oh, you cheeky get. Yeah, she literally did. She literally bit me. And I'm like, that freaking hurt. But I wasn't doing anything. I had my hand laying beside her because she was curled up with me. And I was dozing off to sleep. And then all of a sudden she bit me. And that's what, she never bites me. Never. Equal booger. She knew what she did wrong though, because she gave me a kiss afterwards. The next day. Just totally unexpected. Expect the unexpected, as they say. No, I've been learning tarot readings. I've been learning how the cards work, etc., etc. And I got quite a few decks. I got the original, and I got yeah, I've got the original and there's quite a few others. So I have been learning loads on tarot. So I'm eager to start properly. I'm eager to start properly, but on the 78 cards of the normal tarot deck, the major arcana and the minor, I'm waiting to order. I'm waiting to order a new one. Okay, Poker Rocky, it's good to see you. Take care of yourself.
Telling stories. However, I did see it. There's no doubt.
Michael Becker currently handles a comedy store's business affairs. It took less than 5 minutes to turn him into a believer.
Definitely.
Yeah, 9 o'clock, MC spot.
Becker says the phantom he saw dropped by in broad daylight, in the middle of an important call, no less.
Yeah, hi, it's Mike Becker. As I was standing there, I saw someone with a kind of a tweed 40s jacket just walk right into my office. Get that guy in my office. Can you hold it, please? Thanks. Who's that guy?
What guy?
The guy that just came in here. There was nobody there except the guy that was on the phone originally. Nobody came in here. And to top it off, the guy that was on the phone didn't see anything.
Thanks.
So it was not a guy, but it was something that walked in my office.
That something has been prowling the premises for decades, or so they say. Long before the Comedy Store moved in, these walls were home to the nightclub Ciro's. In the 1940s and 50s, Ciro's was a splashy, flashy playground of movie stars like Tyrone Power, Betty Davis, and Lucille Ball.
Ciro's was the most popular nightclub in Hollywood. And when a club is that popular, the mob is often involved.
Mickey Cohen was the most notorious of the club's gangland regulars. It has long been rumored that a few unfortunate souls who had run-ins with Cohen ended up as ghosts at Ciro's.
It kind of all fits together that something happened back in the 40s perhaps, because it's never like a hippie-looking guy, or it's never somebody from the 80s or anything like that. The clothing is always 40s, and every time I've ever heard a story.
Once you rule out all the prosaic, logical explanations, such as a hoax, a fraud, misinterpretation of natural events, seismic, transients, electrical transients, you're left with something that is totally inexplicable in terms of modern science.
Modern science would have conniptions trying to explain what Blake Clark claims he and a co-worker saw late one night.
What the?
You see that? Yeah.
back and I saw the gate, and it just started just bending out into the hallway. And making that kind of noise. And as I was looking at it, I thought, this is certainly approaching the boundary of physical possibility that something can do that.
Most of the ghosts at the Comedy Store are not dangerous at all. But there is something in the basement that is very terrifying. And you'll have a hard time convincing people to go down there, at least alone.
It was a challenge tailor-made for Blake Clark and Joey Gaynor. One time only, they braved an after-hours visit to the forbidden clutter of the Comedy Store basement.
Hey, look at this, Joey. It's a checkbook.
Am I anything there for me? So what do you want? What do you want? Stay back. Just stay back. What do you want? It had no features at all. It just moved, and it started to snake upwards and down towards us.
Spirit, demon, whatever. Whatever was down there in that basement, just don't like it.
What do you want?
Apparently, the feeling was mutual. For sheer speed, Blake and Joey's sprint from the basement has yet to be equaled. A funny thing happened to the comedian of the Comedy Store. When a ghost story begins like that, you're inclined to take it with a grain of salt. But what of the waitresses and employees who have little to gain by telling tall tales? So far, Laurie Jacobson has documented 50 mysterious episodes here at the Comedy Store. Perhaps he should make it 51. Next, during a time of tragic sorrow, a young girl finds comfort in the arms of an unknown Good Samaritan. And later, a joyous reunion rekindles the spirit of a remarkable wartime Christmas. It was a friendship that reached across the generations. 16-year-old Wendy Radcliffe, weathering her parents' stormy divorce, found a best friend and confidant in her grandmother, Bernice Gardner.
There was really unconditional love between us, and she accepted me. It was total acceptance. To spend time with my grandmother was safety. It was kind of like my safety net. Whenever I had problems at home, I went and stayed with her.
How are things with your mom and stepdad?
In 1984, Wendy and her grandmother spent Christmas vacation together in Oregon. On December 30th, they headed back home to Southern California.
Uh-oh. Light just came on. I think we better pull over.
No one could have foreseen that the minor car problem would trigger a catastrophic series of events. Within hours, Wendy would find herself all alone, facing unbearable sorrow. More than a decade later, Wendy still wants to thank the total stranger who unexpectedly appeared at her side that tragic night in December of 1984.
Okay.
The car repair had derailed Wendy and Bernice's plan to drive home in one day. Wendy called her mother from Modesto, California, to say she and her grandmother would be staying over.
That's it. Hungry?
I'm starving.
The place across the street used to be pretty good. Want to go try it again?
Okay, sure.
Come on.
Then we headed out to walk across the street to the restaurant. And I was ahead of her, and I just kind of ran out into traffic and went across the street, and she decided to wait. pure horror. I can't describe it any better than that. It was just to see her and to see her looking at me when it happened. It was just pure horror.
Wendy charged into the restaurant, screaming for help. By the time she returned to her grandmother's side, a small crowd had gathered.
There was a man there, and he kind of pushed me away.
Wake up! I'm sorry, Miss. Let go of me! This is my grandmother!
I got the impression that he didn't know who I was. He didn't know that we were related, that he just thought that I was a bystander.
No!
As Wendy watched helplessly, a stranger stepped from the crowd.
This woman just grabbed me and held me and told me it was okay to cry, and tried to tell me everything was going to be okay and, comfort me. She was there. I mean, she reached out to somebody she didn't know and tried to help.
At the hospital, Bernice was rushed to surgery. Wendy was alone again, adrift in a living nightmare. Then, out of the blue, a stranger appeared once more.
Hi. How are you doing?
I was very surprised to see her. You just kind of expect people to go on about their life.
What are you doing here?
Well, I couldn't stand to think about you here all night in this hospital all alone. Have you gotten in touch with your family?
Yeah, they're on their way.
Well, how about if I stay with you?
She knew I didn't have any family there, and so she wanted to be with me so that I had somebody there, somebody that I could look to.
Miss, you can go up and see your grandmother now.
Is she gonna be okay?
She's stable. The doctor will explain everything.
At last, the ordeal seemed to be ending.
I was excited, I thought that I was going to get to see my grandmother. I thought she was alive and doing okay.
Doctor, can you tell me which room is Bernice Gardner's? The nurse said we could come in and see her now.
Are you family?
She is. I'm her granddaughter.
I don't know what they told you downstairs, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed.
And then the lecture, the speech, the one you never want to hear in your life. He had told me that she died, and I just fell apart.
I'm sorry, we did everything we could. I'm very sorry.
The nurse said she was stable.
I cried, and she held me. From that point on, I don't really remember much.
The unknown woman stayed until Wendy's family began to arrive. Then, without a word, she slipped away.
I've looked back on it so many times, and I see over and over and over again how important it was that she was there. Because if she hadn't have been there, I probably would have totally fallen apart.
Today, a decade later, Wendy is a happily married mother of 3. But since that night, she has felt a debt of gratitude to the gentle stranger who extended a helping hand.
It was a real turning point for me. She helped me to become a person who can be there for somebody else, and I want her to know that. It means a lot to me to find her, to let her know that one person made a difference.
When we return, in 1944, a German boy and an American GI shared an unforgettable Christmas dinner. Some 50 years later, our viewers helped reunite them. Tonight we have a heartwarming update to one of our most poignant lost love cases. Perhaps you remember the story. December 1944. Some of the most savage fighting of the Second World War took place in Belgium's Ardennes forest. Thousands of American and German soldiers would lose their lives in the infamous Battle of the Bulge. Christmas Eve brought no end to the carnage. In an isolated cabin within earshot of the fighting, a young German boy named Fritz Winken and his mother tried to make the best of the holiday.
My mother blew out the candle and went to the door, and I went with her. She opened the door, and there were these soldiers.
We're Americans, and we're lost. And our friend's been shot.
Fritz's mother knew that harboring the enemy was punishable by death, but it was Christmas, and she was willing to take the risk. The GIs had just begun to relax in anticipation of an unexpected holiday meal when there was a knock at the door.
We thought automatically this must be more Americans. And I went to the door and opened the door. And there were 4 German soldiers.
Fröhliche Weihnachten.
Sie können auch mit uns zu
No one could have foreseen what happened next. In a remarkable display of courage and compassion, Fritz's mother bid the Germans welcome, provided they leave their weapons at the door.
Tut, was sie sagt.
That night, hostilities ceased in at least one corner of the forest. American and German soldiers sat down together to honor the Christmas spirit.
By the time they were all crying, not profusely, but the tears were rolling. You know, even the German sergeant, I was very surprised. And then we ate, and the tears disappeared. But from then on, there was a feeling of friendship that permeated the whole room. It was wonderful. I never forget.
Fritz never did forget the lessons he learned that night, and he never stopped hoping that he would someday be reunited with one of the American GIs. Against all odds, it was a dream that came true. Here's Keith to tell you how it happened.
Bob, after our most recent broadcast of Fritz's story, a man named Eldridge Ward called our phone center. He's a volunteer chaplain at a nursing home in Frederick, Maryland. Eldridge recognized the story as one often recounted by an elderly resident named Ralph Blank. We did a little research and found out that in 1944, Ralph Blank had in fact been a sergeant serving with the U.S. Army in Belgium. Fritz immediately phoned Ralph, who confirmed that he was one of the soldiers who had celebrated Christmas with Fritz and his mother.
Ralph was completely unaware that we had looked for him. So right away, I asked him whether he remembered me from that night in the Ardennes. Oh yes, I remember you. He said, you must be Fritz.
On January 19th, 1996, Fritz flew to Maryland to meet his long-lost friend, who is now 76 years old and in fragile health.
I was very excited. I could hardly wait.
That's hard. Fritz! Welcome 50 years ago, boy. I'm glad to see you.
I just had to look at his eyes, and I knew this is him. And he recognized me apparently, even though we changed so much in that time. But it was a great experience.
Have I changed any?
Well, I never thought I'd ever see Fritz again when I left Germany. Today is a special day for me.
The emotional reunion took place just a day after another exciting event, Ralph Blank's 50th wedding anniversary. To cap the joyous celebration, his daughter-in-law fixed the same meal Fritz's mother had served some 52 years ago, a hearty bowl of chicken soup.
I can only tell you it was the fulfillment of a lifelong dream, something I had given up all hope to experience.
Fritz Winken and Ralph Blank, proof that true friendship and brotherhood can endure time, distance, and the ravages of war.
I had a pistol, you remember?
Yeah.
I gave it to your mother.
That's right. Oh, she took it from you.
She still got my pistol.
Tonight, an urgent appeal to police departments across the country. For nearly a decade, a cunning serial rapist has prowled Buffalo, New York, and his suburbs. Local detectives now fear that the suspect may be targeting women outside the state. Perhaps investigators in other areas can help put an end to the growing list of victims.
I was 17 years old, and I was walking to summer school. I was running a little bit late for school, so I decided to cut through the pass. And I was almost at the end of the path, and I heard something behind me.
Hi, how you doing?
And I didn't think anything of it, so I turned around and I kept walking. You know, I mean, he didn't look like someone I had to fear. He looked like a normal, everyday guy.
Shut up! Don't look at my face.
He started dragging me back into the woods, and then he started strangling me. And then I thought, that's it, I was gonna die. I really thought I'd never see any of my family again. And when he was finished, I asked him what's gonna happen, and he told me, he said nothing. He almost sounded sorry. And then he left.
The reign of terror had only begun. In June of 1988, the rapist was lying in wait as a 16-year-old girl walked to school along an isolated railroad track. Once again, the assailant would double wrap a rope around his victim's neck and tape her eyes shut.
Almost a year later, in May of 1989, another young girl was using this as a shortcut on her way to school. The same individual passed her, and immediately afterwards double-wrapped a rope around her neck, gained control of her, and took her to the bush area behind me. He forced her to place tape over her eyes, he bound her, and sexually assaulted her.
Now there were four. Two of the women said the rapist had worn a blue baseball cap. Each victim described a short, stocky, mustachioed man in his mid-30s. 4 months passed. Then a fifth attack. A woman, alone in a secluded place, early morning.
He placed a rope around her neck, he wrapped it twice. She described him as a very powerful man. He lifted her over this fence and took her into the wooded area over here, where he bound her hands behind her back and he placed surgical tape over her eyes, and at that point he raped her.
5'5" to 5'8", stocky build, black hair, black mustache, white, possibly Hispanic. It was a rapist, and he would savage 2 more victims in Amherst.
32-year-old female was using this path early in the morning for exercise. As she got to this point right here, a rope was placed around her neck and she was immediately rendered unconscious. She was then dragged into these woods up this way, which we think was a pre-selected site.
The woman was found 1 hour later, still unconscious. Double wrap marks on her neck told police who they were dealing with. But this time was different. This time he had nearly killed his victim. "22-year-old Linda Yalom was a student at the State University in Buffalo when she crossed paths with a rapist. Linda was a 7th known victim. She would be the first to die. Linda Yalom was left in the woods, her mouth and nose wrapped tight with duct tape.
It was premeditated murder. He planned on killing her when he grabbed her that day. And once he put that tape over her nose and her mouth, there was no chance for survival.
An unexpected lull followed. 2, 3, 4 years. Authorities wondered, had the suspect moved, gone to prison, or even perhaps died? Then in October of 1994, a 13-year-old girl was raped in Buffalo, New York. He was back.
I'll do it for now. Right, I'm gonna say see you guys later on. I'll be live later, so thank you for joining us. See you guys soon.